There were once two sisters. The older sister walked ahead of the younger one, so the younger one always knew where to go.
How are you doing? Because your grandma and I have been a little worried about you.
My sister is dead. There's no more music in me. No more dreams in me.
Anne Brodie, What She Said, Canada. Grace, I'd like to start with you. You're starring in this really bittersweet story of a girl who's lost her sister. I mean, it's tragic. And she is overwhelmed with emotion and feelings of guilt, things like that. Did you find it hard on you emotionally when you were preparing?
Yeah, I did. I'm very fortunate, just personally, to have not lost anybody very close to me in that way. But I think I was able to apply a lot of the losses and just kind of isolation and just anger and confusion that I had been feeling throughout the course of COVID, of just throughout 2020, because it was that first year where just everything was still so uncertain. And navigating through that, when COVID hit, I was just about to graduate high school, so didn't get that. So there was just a lot that I was also navigating through. So I was able to apply all of that, and I think just getting to tell a story that I knew that so many people would relate to, and in their own way, whether it's literally because they've lost somebody close to them or just because of the pandemic or just whatever it is, was also really meaningful to me. And loss is something that we all inevitably will experience. It's just the reality of life, and it's tragic and it's sad, but I think also getting to tap into like the celebration of life was also something that this project does too. So it felt like just a whole whirlwind of emotions that left me kind of breathless every single day, but just grateful to be a part of it.
Yes, and it was set in this beautiful magic realism, which made it even more astounding.
How is school? Bad as expected?
He's a new boy in honor band.
Hey, you must be Lennon Walker.
Jacques, your character is so wonderful to Lenny, so respectful of her grief and her shock and everything that she's going through. I mean, the world needs more Joes. And so did you relate to him? Are you like that?
Oh, yes. I love Joe. Jandy Nelson always referred to Joe as the son, and it was really cool because she would be on set with us, and I would actually get to talk to her about Joe, and she'd always say, "It's the son, it's the son, it's the son," and they were they were considering having me play the saxophone instead of the trumpet, because I do play the saxophone as well, and instead, I was insistent because I was like, no, the trumpet is exactly the expression of Joe. It's this piercing, beautiful sound that just parts the skies and lets the light in. So the trumpet I had for Joe, I nicknamed her Gabby, because I was like, I got to get better at this thing before I can call myself Gabriel out here, like really do that work. You know what I mean? But I love Joe and I relate to Joe. I think we have to learn to love our characters and forgive our characters for their imperfections to tap into the emotional truth. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. The world needs more Joes. And we can cross those invisible bridges with music and art. I really believe in that. That's something I resonate with.
Love it.
Toby stopped by. Go keep him company, make him feel welcome.
He is not interested in talking to me.
She was the love of his life.
No one at school gets it.
I don't think it's possible to get it unless you're in it, like we are.
And Pico, now your character, Toby's not a Joe.
What is that?
He's
What was that?
No,
No, I'm kidding.
surprising. He's surprising. You can read him so many different ways. I mean, because he was with her sister, you kind of think he's going to be a saint, but he's not. I mean, he's a sexual person. He's someone who needs her, whatever. So you had a totally different kind of a thing to deal with. It. Just tell me about him.
Well, if when Jandy would say that Joe was the sun, she would say that Toby's sort of like the moon. I don't know, like. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know anything.
What was it like working in the Pico? If you could answer me, working in all that like beautiful scenery and the redwoods and.
Yeah, I think we all fell in love with the redwoods. I've been there once briefly. I love that place. That's where they shot Jurassic Park. There's just magic in the redwoods. But
cool. That's nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. You believe in signs from the beyond?
I believe in everything.
'Cause you've got me.
Yes. By the way, the heart breaks. Music escapes. That's how it gets out.
Thank you so much for being here, Josephine. You've created this world that's that sort of verges into magic realism visually and in terms of the forest and the garden and the animated leaves and whatnot. And you've set it against the harsh realities of Lenny's life. And I think that's a brilliant contrast. And tell me how you achieved that.
Well, I have to say, I mean, I fell in love with this movie because Jandy Nelson wrote a beautiful script, which already held a lot of that. It was already holding this really magical, imaginative world inside of Lenny. And then also it's centered around this profound loss. And I think that was a big thing that drew me to it, was I felt it held so much of my own emotional life in the years that I was leading up to it and then actually getting to work on it, that I just was like, I got to make this movie. It's like, you'll feel everything. I'll feel everything. But also we had so much fun with those magical realist sections, and I had a great time translating a lot of those. I decided I really wanted to do a lot of them as practical effects, which I think makes them even more magical. So it took a lot of those like Lennyscapes out of a CGI realm and put them into how do you put this into a physical body? And so added a lot of dance sequences. That's something that we added a lot of and made this beautiful Air on G moment be a dance moment instead of just a CGI moment where these roses are literally becoming dancers and then the two actors are dancing in a way. And great choreographer Faye Driscoll helped me with all of that, and also the beautiful dance sequence with Bailey towards the beginning when she's thinking of her sister, how her sister is so perfect. I was like, what says this more than a dance sequence than an idealized version of your sister? So we had a great time working on that as well.
There's so much going on emotionally here, particularly for young adults. And I wonder, Lenny is in most frames. So how was it? How did you help her? She has a lot to take on.
I mean, she's such a terrific actress. Honestly, one of the reasons I wanted to work with her was that I didn't feel like I would have to do that much. I mean, we obviously worked very closely together, but she just grasps the material so well. She's a very nuanced storyteller. She can kind of get inside of material in a way that's shocking for a 17-year-old. And then I just remember a few moments, like towards the end when she's working with, when she has a big confrontation with her Graham. I struggled with the very end of that. And I was like, what is it that we're looking for? And I was like, oh, it's that she needs to still believe like everything is my fault. Even though she's outwardly blaming Graham, what she's believing in that moment is everything is my fault. Everything is my fault. And I remember we went back for like a pickup for something else. And I was like, can we get that one shot again? And I remember her just nailing into that feeling and that horror of like, that she doesn't want to forgive herself. She can't forgive anyone else because she can't forgive herself. And then obviously that scene is all about a really beautiful realization, I hope, of like self-love.
That's fantastic. And that says so much about the film. There's so much to chew on. Thank you very much, Josephine, and congratulations.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks so much.
If the tide takes California, I'm so glad I got
Joe
to hold
Fontaine,
ya.
Toby Shaw.
I know I shouldn't have come. I just miss her so much.
We're here without her. Toby, I can't.
Okay. We're gonna be okay.
If the tide takes California,
What's going on with you two?
I'm so
Grief and love. I don't think we get one without the other.
With Joe, I feel so very alive.
But when I'm with Toby, there is someone with me in my grief. I want to live like my sister did, with daring and spirit and so much joy.
So